fact, after May, they spent only 2 days out of the cellar. They were last or next to last in almost every category.
The best young pitchers in baseball. They won the minor league World Series last year with a staff many believe was better than the one they had in New York. Davey Johnson was their manager in the minors, and he wonders if the boys of spring can become the men of summer.
Well, I'll tell you, last year when we started the season in AAA, I thought a lot of them weren't ready to pitch in AAA. Leary hadn't pitched in 2 years, and a lot of the other guys had been there and struggled in AAA. But the year that we had last year, a lot of them put it together. Waltero came along real fast early in the season.
To be fulfilled. Ron Darling has the name and the arm to ease the loss of Tom Seaver. And with impressive rookie John Gibbons behind the plate, the Mets will go north with the youngest team in baseball. The Mets are also impressed with George Foster, who after 2 disappointing seasons has promised to deliver the kind of year his $2 million salary calls for. But the most impressive Met of all is a 22-year-old phenom named Darryl Strawberry, who last year ripened into one of the most exciting players in the game today. After beginning the season in the minors, Strawberry finished with Rookie of the Year honors after hitting .257 with 26 home runs and 74 runs batted in. He is not intimidated by Major League pitching or the pressures of New York.
My mother always gave me advice just to handle myself well and carry myself as a good person. And once you learn to do that, things will work out fine for you, no matter which way the situation turned out to be. If it's good or bad, I learned to deal with it. And I think that's been the big affection of my life right now, is learning to deal with the good and bads. And I think by me motivating myself to live with the good and bads, better things happen for me.
Strawberry will bat in the Mets lineup behind a couple former MVPs, Foster and Keith Hernandez.
He's got tremendous ability. He's a tremendous raw power. He's like Gary Templeton when he came up, and Templeton and him are the 2 rookies that I saw come up with such great amount of God-given talent. That's just unbelievable. So if he maintains his attitude and wants to improve and wants to do well, the sky's the limit.
The Mets know what Strawberry can mean on the field and at the gate. A promotion is planned for the first Sunday of the season. It's called Strawberry Sunday. And yes, each fan will receive a Strawberry Sunday. Craig Sager, CNN, St.
Mosby takes low, ball 1 from
Shipping away, swings the bat, but he should pass it as Tim Raines hits a line drive right field, and he hits a home run. And the Expos go on the board. It's now Mets 4, Expos.
Strawberry. Darryl is 0 for 2. He also has walked and scored. It's ball 1. Strawberry hitting .283.
Darrell's prolonged slump in the month of May dropped him out of most of the offensive categories. The only one in which he appears is doubles, where he's 7th.
And a called strike. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Darryl had a double in yesterday's ball.
Stadium in Montreal. George Foster at the plate. He crushes this ball. It'll go into the gap in right center. It'll score 2 runs. It's 3-1 in the 2nd inning. Moving on to the 8th. The Mets are up 4-2, and Mookie Wilson is at the plate, and it's out of the ballpark. The Mets take a 5-2 lead. They went on to win it 5-3 over Montreal. Jesse Orozco came on in relief. Foster also had his 10th home run of the year in that game. 2nd game, the Mets also on top. They're looking for a sweep of this doubleheader. They lead 6-5 as the game goes to the 9th. Gary Carter has hit his 2nd home run in the 2 games. He's got 12, but unless Montreal comes from behind, the Mets will also pull within a half a game in the National League East.
Well, over in the against the Tigers, his 3rd complete game victory makes him 5-4 on the season. Only 1 Detroit player got as far as 3rd base. That wasn't Larry Herndon. He flies out to close out the contest. Ball.
Going back, has room and makes the catch, 1 away.
Goes after an impossible pitch to hit.
Fastball, fly ball left field. Jerry Martin has plenty of room, and there are 2. And the Mets have won it, and they have swept a doubleheader here at Olympic Stadium for the first time ever. They've won 3 of these first 4 ball games of this series. They have now won 6 games in a row on this road trip. They have not lost since last Sunday at home, and Jesse Orozco has picked up 2 saves tonight.
What a Lou beats it out. That allows Randolph to score from third, makes it 2-1 Yankees. That was the game-winning RBI. In the fourth, the Yanks score 5-1, scoring 3 runs on 3 hits. With Weiniger there, comes through with a biggie, drives in 2. And now it's just a little matter of 8th inning, getting Lou Piniella out of there so everybody's given a standing O that he deserves. With the Yankees for over 11 years, goes out with a .291 career batting average 4 times. Getting over 400 with the Bronx Bombers his best year when he Mike Jorgensen risked his shot.
They have convinced Piniella to take on coaching chores. But in the final game of his career, Sweet Lou showed he still had the right stuff. With his name echoing around the hallowed halls of Yankee Stadium, Piniella leaves the game with a .291 lifetime batting average and a secure place in the hearts of all Yankee fans.
The stadium. With this evening's trade deadline, no news from the Yanks, but the Mets with the deal. They sent 3 minor leaguers to the Reds for 29-year-old right-handed pitcher Bruce Bereni. Now, he's been wild and inconsistent, but I think worth a shot, although 3-7, 6.00 ERA. So you give me a strange look. The guy happens to have some talent. It's worth the shot. In St. Louis tonight, the Mets playing good baseball, beat the Cardinals 5-0, take over first place by a half game. Former Cardinal Keith Hernandez did it again to his former mates. 4th inning, 1 on. Mets lead 2-zip. Hubie Brooks also hit 1 out. Now, in the 5th inning, off the ground ball, the explosion, Darryl Strawberry, no chance, tried to bowl over the catcher, Darryl Porter, through the elbow. Now, Porter did not like it. Led to nasty words from both clubs, both benches empty, but finally things were calmed down. Another outstanding pitching effort. This time, Walt Terrell, the man, he pitched shutout ball into the 8th. Jesse Orozco saved it. 3rd straight shutout for the Mets. Before the game, a strange trade by the Cardinals. Now, with Bob Horner out for the season, the Braves, desperate for a third baseman, acquired 300-hitting Ken Oberkfell. The Cards get pitcher Ken Daly, who was 0-3, and then sent to the minors earlier this year, and one time at Pittsburgh.
Call up Charlie Paleo and the Mets, giving the Reds now 3 minor leaguers. The deadline is midnight local time for the interleague screening. Meanwhile, let's check what's been happening in the American League.
Here and less.
Good seats.
Is Ross Jones. He gets a hit off Dennis Burt. For the visiting team, that's right fielder Gus Burgess. There's first baseman Pat Dotson making the play, and here's Clint Hurdle getting a hit.
We're at Shea Stadium in New York, but it's Tidewater playing Pawtucket. That's the international.
Is Dwight Gooden, and he's second to Fernando for the league lead in strikeouts. The label on him is he's 1 in a million.
But always been my goal, and ever since I was small, like 6 and 7 years old, I always told my father that I'd play in the big leagues one day.
Really? Does it ever seem that this is not for real? This is a dream, or
he knew from the first time he laid eyes on him that Gooden was something special.
Here's a 17-year-old kid that's a great athlete, and he was warming up, and he'd hit the catcher's mitt, move it in and out, and I asked him how he gripped the fastball, and he said, well, if I want it to ride, I grip it across the seams. If I want some lateral movement, I grip it with the seam. And he was doing the same thing with his curveball. And even during his first start, he would change speeds on his heater.
Then there's Seattle's 23-year-old Alvin Davis. Like Gooden, he's not only a Northwest folk hero, he's among the league leaders in every major category.
You hope that you're good enough to last and to be around for a while, you know.
The outfielder who did miss.
I got released by 2 of the worst ball clubs in the major leagues, in the Cincinnati Reds and the Seattle Mariners. You know, you can't, your balloon gets knocked, a little wind gets knocked out of it after that happened.
He's now with the Mets Farm Club in Tidewater, and he hopes playing first and learning to catch can get him back to the majors.
In my case, it was all there before me, and I think I got into a little bit too much of seeing it written all before it even had an opportunity to happen. Everybody's future, everybo's role in the major league is going to be a little different, and it's more like playing poker. You get dealt a hand, you just got to...
Mike Jorgensen rips his shot up the middle. What a play by Jose Oquendo, though, who throws him out at first. Even Whitey Herzog can't figure out what to do to get around Oquendo because he had the night of the season. Drops his bat, but the ball also drops in for a double. Foster and Hubie Brooks will score, and the Mets go on to win it 4-1. Jorgensen, by the way, the newest of the Cardinals, drove in the first run in 38 innings at home. It was unearned, so the Mets a 35 scoreless inning streak
snap, but still it was an unearned run. Jesse Orozco came in relief as right.
Struck out 5 straight Pirates and 6 overall to go 5-3 and tie for the Major League lead in strikeouts with 93. It was the second time Gooden struck out 5 straight and the 7th time that he struck out the side in 1 inning.
Dwight Gooden has been able to handle any situation that we've thrown in front of him up to this particular point.
He had a run of 3 saves in 3 appearances to rank among the league leaders with 12. And the Mets ran off with 7 out of 8 to stay near the top of the East. Since
New York Mets baseball. Today, the Mets take on the St. Louis Cardinals. Participating advertisers are acquired Bruce Bereni, his first New York start, 3-7 with an ERA of 6. And going for St. Louis, left-hander Ricky Horton, 2-0 with an ERA of 1.5.
And this will be his first try as the New York Mets. It's hot. It is humid.
Out with some minor back problems.
And out in right field, Jerry Martin. The catcher, Mike Fitzgerald, and on the mound for the Mets, making his first appearance as a Met, Bruce Bereni with a record of 3-7. He has an earned run average of 6.00.
Ricky Horton round out the lineup for the Cardinals.
And Bereni's first pitch just off the strike zone. It's ball 1. Bereni working to Lonnie Smith. Lonnie Smith hitting 277. Major league stuff.
I was going to conjugate Bruce Bereni. Hard, harder, and hardest. It's a matter of throwing strikes.
And a fastball hit in the air. Not really that deep to center field. Shallow second base, really. And Strawberry.
2 years ago with 8 and second in the league. Last year to John Denny, who yielded 7.
Hits this year. And there's a base hit right on by Jose Oquendo. Hernandez and Mike Fitzgerald together. It's Fitzgerald calling. And the catch is made. So Willie McGee running back to first base as that ball was caught for the 3rd out of the inning. So no runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left on base to score.
Hi, everybody. June 15th is the interleague trading deadline and a flurry
anniversary in St. Louis, where the slick-fielding Cardinals were toting leather as the 4-game series began. It's been nearly a year since Keith Hernandez was traded by the Cardinals to the Mets, and Hernandez marked the occasion in style. In the first game, a double by Keith drove home what proved to be the winning run. On his way to his 6th win in 9 decisions, Ron Darling thought Hernandez was a sweetheart, especially for his glove of gold. No doubt Keith was fired up, and at the end of the game, the Cardinals were doubled up thanks to Hernandez's hideaway tag as the Mets snared a 6-0 win. In the second game of the series, the Cardinals might have felt punched out as right-hander Walt Terrell led the Mets to their 3rd consecutive shutout. The first time Mets pitching reached that pinnacle since 1970. Combining sharp pitching with gutty defense, New York was hanging tough. And at the plate, guess who delivered the big blow? Keith Hernandez's 4th-inning homer made the difference as the Mets won their 10th contest in 12 games and moved into undisputed possession of first place for the first time in a month. Going into Game 3, Mets manager Davey Johnson had to like the look of things, particularly with rookie fireballer Dwight Gooden on the mound. Gooden kept his eye on every threat, and the Cardinals found themselves caught short more often than not. Batting .311, Hubie Brooks stayed hot on this sultry St. Louis night, belting his 8th homer of the year. Not too bad considering Brooks had a career total of 12 at the start of the season. Ace reliever Jesse Orozco came on in the 8th to notch his 13th save as the Mets nailed down a 4-1 win, looking every inch the case for the long chase still ahead.
Last night with the score tied at 2-2, Darryl Strawberry with runners at 1st and 3rd hits this mammoth home run off the scoreboard in right field. For Darryl Strawberry, his 9th home run of the year, and the Mets take the lead by a score of 5-2. Carlton giving up his 4th home run of the season, And Strawberry rounding third and heading home. And now Mookie Wilson with a 2-run home run to left field. And Mookie Wilson picking up his 4th home run of the year, and the Mets leading by a score of 7-3. Then this ground ball back to the mound caps the ball game. Doug Sis throwing out Gary Maddox, and the Mets winning over the Phillies by a score of 7-4 to even the series. And going into the action here today, the Mets 1/2 game out of first place.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Bud Light, the light beer with a taste all its own, satisfying but never filling. So ask for Bud Light. By Toyota's new cars and trucks for 1984. Toyota invites you to see them at your local dealer. By Getty. At Getty, the proof is at the pump. By TWA. For ease and comfort coast to coast, you're going to like TWA. And by the New York Mets.
306. No home runs, 2 RBIs. He's been up just the end of 2.5 innings. The Phillies won. Good as they are now. Line drive, base hit to left field. This will tie it up. Carroll coming in to score. The throw into second base. And a
break for the Mets. It could have been a good break. DA's line, a right field line. And there's a base hit into left field for Hubie Brooks, who has been swinging a bat.
To wake up from the dream of being in first place at the All-Star break. If you answered the New York Mets, you're right. You stay here tonight. And it's fans like Channel 3's business reporter Jim Weisvich, for example, starting to stake out playoff tickets now as the Mets started the day in a 3-way tie for the top spot in the National League East. Tonight, at home, George Foster at bat in the 5th inning against Houston. This was home run number 12 for George. Out it goes. The Mets out to a 1-0 lead. A lead that didn't even last half an inning. Houston's 5th, and Harry Spillman took his turn. He hits the home run ball, a 3-run shot, and Houston jumped in front 3-1. But the Mets 6th did the trick. Danny Heap with a shot up the middle. That sent Wally Backman to the plate to make it 3-2, and oh so close. Keith Hernandez took care of that, however. Puts the cap on it in this 6th inning. A 2-run shot. That put the Mets in front 4-3. That was the final score. The Mets continuing to win. By virtue of tonight's win, coupled with the Phillies' loss to Cincinnati, the Mets take a 1-game lead for the East Division lead. The Cubs playing out west tonight must win to keep the pace. Atlanta
to end the game. Dramatics, but one was a leadoff triple in the 5th. Darling then struck out Ron Oster looking, got Brad Golden gazing, and then mesmerized Jeff Russell while the runner died on third. Next inning, Hubie Brooks provided all the offense when he parked one to right. Darling struck out 6, went all the way, won his 7th straight, and is now 10-3. The Mets shut out Cincinnati and complete the sweep when in the 9th inning, Kelvin Chapman's single past a drawn-in infield pulled it out as the Mets sweep a doubleheader from the Reds. Now to Philadelphia. The Braves and the Phillies. Atlanta got it going in the 3rd inning.
Phillies, well, they continued to slide and blame.
Witnessed by his 3rd straight selection to the All-Star game. But his lack of temper has gotten him into habitual hot water, as was witnessed. The Reds he watched the Reds from the sidelines this week while serving his 2nd suspension of the season. Saturday, he returned to start against the first-place Mets. Pitching prodigy, Dwight Gooden. Didn't last long. One of Soto's big problems is giving up the gopher ball. Here he faces Mookie Wilson, and Wilson drives his ball into the right field seat. He had walked Gooden of all people, and so it made it a 2-run homer, one of Mario's chief nemesis. Bottom of the 4th, though, he really came undone. Wilson drove in 4 runs, so did Darryl Strawberry. He starts it off with this Rip City Rock Tater off Soto, a solo shot at 3-1. They love it in New York, but later in the inning, the man brought in from the bullpen. The card was pelted about as much as the Reds pitching. 7 runs in all. They sent 11 batters to the plate. Hernandez and Boxley score on Strawberry's 2nd RBI of the inning. Meanwhile, Gooden was blazing fastballs by the Reds. 8 strikeouts in all. He leads the National League again now with 133. 5-game winning streak. Ken Murday in Candlestick Park. And they were watching some great things on the field from San Francisco, but not from the Cubs. Gary Matthews bobbled this easy fly ball. Later,
Mike Krukow would knock in a run with a sacrifice fly, and then Rick Russell faces Dan Gladden. Might have got out of the inning on the ground ball, but he lets it go off his mitt, and he falls off the mound. The Giants lead 3-1. And San Francisco got great defense. All-star pitcher Bob Brenly slides safely in and grabs the ball. In the process, Krukow and a six-hitter into the ninth.
In town for the weekend. It's top of the first inning. Shane Raleigh on the hill for the Bills. 2 men on. And Rafael Ramirez at the plate. He drilled it right between the legs of all-star third baseman Mike Schmidt. Claudel Washington scores. The Braves are off and running. Phillies with 2 errors on the afternoon. They now lead the league with 98 in the third. Raleigh with a big mistake again. Serves it up to Claudel Washington. The all-star Rick, the right fielder's 11th homer of the year. This makes it 3-0 Braves. That was funny for Rick Camp. He gets help from...
Pitching of Bruce Bereni. The Mets got it going in the very first inning. George Foster's single off Charlie Palaio drove in Danny Heap. 1-0 Mets. 3 more runs in the second. First, Mookie triples. Wally Backman scores. 2-0 Mets. Now Danny Heap up. And he belts one. Goes for a double. That makes it 3-0. Now here's the man, Darryl Strawberry, who started to hit again. He lashes a double. Heap scores, and that makes it 4-0 in favor of the Mets. In the 4th inning, Strawberry again at the plate. Base hit. That made it 6-0. Meantime, Bruce Bereni was on the mound for the Mets, and this is his 10th strikeout. 7-3 in favor of the Mets. Earlier in the day, I talked with the architect of this Mets.
Pay him the supreme compliment the other day. Al Harrison said to me, you know, he plays first base like Brooks Robinson played third.
You satisfied at second?
Well, at second, we have a really good offensive ball player in Wally Bachman. His defense has improved over the course of the season, but he's still primarily an offensive ball player. But you need an offensive ball player in the one spot, leading off. It's not just having 8 players. It's how 8 players fit into an offensive alignment, and Wally Bachman fills a big spot for us by batting leadoff.
What about short?
Short, we have played 2 shortstops. Right now, Ron Gardenhire is playing there and will continue to play there until, or unless he falters. Our little shortstop is a good glove man, good leather man, you know, Jose Oquendo, but has not really hit anything. I have some reservations about whether he is ever going to hit unless he really comes up on a bat and goes back to switch hitting.
Speaking about hitting, Brooks at third has been a revelation.
Brooks has probably been the most pleasant surprise. He has been growing as a ball player, growing in skills, and he was a fine defensive ball player last year. He's got used to the position, and he's been a fine defensive ball player this year.
What's your gut reaction to Foster?
Gut reaction is that he still can play some, and that he's a better ball player than he has shown us, certainly in this first half. As a matter of fact, I really do feel that neither Foster nor Strawberry, who figure to be 2 of our biggest hitters, have yet played the kind of ball that they are going to play in 1984. So I already am looking forward to the second half because I think we're going to get much better offensive years out of those 2 players, much better offensive halves.
Guy in center field underrated?
Guy in center field is underrated. I don't think so. Maybe by the media. I think people in baseball recognize him to be an outstanding defensive center fielder and a good man that can hit early in the lineup or down in the 5th, 6th, 7th spot.
You ever sit back at night and think vengeance is mine, as Gooden and Darling have made everybody forget T. Seaver?
No, I don't, and I still get asked about that, and I suppose I was so painfully honest when the thing happened. If I had it to do over again, I might take a different tack, but...
You know, I must admit to you that I had the feeling that you got rid of Seaver because you thought that he'd be too much pressure on Davy Johnson sitting in the wings.
No, not for 1 second, not for 1 moment. Really? And I got a chance for a couple of reasons. Number one is there is not an outstanding team in the Eastern Division of the National League. It doesn't mean there aren't some good teams, but there's nobody that is going to run away with this divisional race. And because of that, I think we can hang in the race until September. Once you get to September, anything can happen and anybody can win. As witness what happened in the National League last year when there were 4 clubs close and Philadelphia had a couple of good weeks and won the National League title really on the strength of that, at least Eastern Division.
Today, nothing much different for the Yankees. They lost another one-run game. I'll be lucky to get through this sports test, all right? Mets magic tested again, extra innings again, and the Mets win again. The final, Mets 9, Cardinals 8, it went 10 innings. Now, this was a seesaw game. 8th inning, the Mets lead 7-6. Tito Landrum, pinch hitting, connects with one on off Tom Gorman. It's a goner. Cards retake the lead 8-7. But in the bottom of the 8th, Keith Hernandez at the plate strokes a single. This is going to tie the game. 3rd RBI for Keith. And this game is even at 8-8. Neither team could score tonight. Let's go to the bottom of the 10th. Hernandez facing Neil Allen, the man he was traded for. Again, base hit. Keith comes through. Here comes Mookie around 3rd. And that is the game winner. The Mets win it 9-8. They are 8-0 in extra innings. Look at the celebration. And the Mets fans wanted a curtain call for Keith, and he came out. What a night for Hernandez. 4 RBIs, and he beat the man he was traded for. Sweet revenge. 9-8, the Mets, the winner. What a game. Tonight in Philadelphia, the born-again left arm of Jerry Kuzman. He did a number on the Chicago Cubs. Phillies the winner, 3-2. Kuzman having a great year on the mound, but in the 4th, it's Jerry's bat puts the Phillies on top, breaks a 1-1 tie, and the Phils go on top 2-1. But in the 7th, it's tied at 2-2. Len Matuzak just off the disabled list, disables this pitch from Tim Stoddard. It's a goner and a game winner.
Listen to these numbers. They won their 20th game this month. They're 6th in a row. And for all you fans who called in sick at work and went to the game, I won't tell, but it was fun. But it wasn't a lot of fun the first couple innings. The Cards jumped on top, jumped on Sid Fernandez, and it was uh-oh when Chris Fire hit this home run, and the Cardinals led 3-0. But we go to the 4th, still 3-0. 2 on for Darryl Strawberry, and Darryl good buys it and ties it. That is a goner. 16th of the year for Darryl. It's 3-3. This inning, Mets on top 4-3. Strawberry with a grounder to first. Now, David Green goes to second on the 4th for Keith Hernandez, but the relay goes the wrong way, and Wally Backman and Mookie Wilson score. It is 6-3 Mets. What a job in relief for Ed Lynch. 4 scoreless innings. Preserves the win for Sid Fernandez, who is now 3-0. Mets a winner, 9-3. After the game, we talked with the guys and the team who has the best record in the National League.
Well, we've come back all year. This team's got a lot of character, a lot of battlers.
About 40 or 45 days. Funny story, Johnson wanted to pitch Fernandez today at night on Friday when they would have the big crowd. 40,000 showed up today. So Fernandez wins it, and Lynch gets the save. By the way, the hunch bet, the winner of the 9th race at Belmont today was Mighty Sitter, and boom, there is 6-3. Bottom of the 6th, Hernandez comes through again, base hit. Santana scores 8-3. Mets win it 9-3, but there's the guy. Eddie Lynch came on in the 6th inning, shut him out the rest of the way, allowed only 4 hits. In Milwaukee tonight, in the 9th inning, the Yankees are winning a ball game. They lead the Brewers 3-0. Rasmussen, Howell, and Rigetti.
But it's much too sad to write.
But both teams got a run in the first. This single by Gary Matthews scored Bob Dernier, and the Cubs were out in front 1-0. But the lead didn't last very long. In the bottom of the first, George Foster singled to right field. Keith Hernandez came around to score, and the game was tied at 1. Right now, they are in the 8th inning of play, and the Mets have taken a...
102 saw the Mets defeat the Cubs 2-1 in the first game of this 4-game series. The Cubs got off to a fast start as they scored in the first inning. In the top, Buster comes up with a base hit here to tie it. Coming around from second base to score the run is Keith Hernandez, and the Mets were tied at 1-1. Now, here's the big play of the ball game. Mookie Wilson, with Sandberg on after a triple at third base, makes the catch. The throw to home plate is a perfect throw. The tag, a perfect tag by Fitzgerald, and the Cubs are held at 1-1. They do not score. Let's look at it again. The bottom of the 7th inning, Backman will be the batter. Backman had won a game earlier in this homestand with a base hit up the middle, very similar to this one. It's lined up the middle. Right here, Denier in center field boots the ball. Santana, who had walked, comes in to score. If he had not booted the ball, there would have been a play at the plate. And right here, a soft line drive to Hernandez as Orozco picks up his 21st save, and the Mets win it by a score of 2-1.
The big Mets and the Cubs, the weekend is a sellout at Shea.
Second, and then Jerry Matthews rips the single in the left. The Cubs got on the board early. It's 1-0. But in the bottom of the first, the Mets answered. Against Dick Ruthven, George Foster goes to right field. Keith Hernandez comes around from second base. We're tied at 1. Now Gooden pitching against Leon Durham, who will this fly. Ryan Sandberg had tripled to break a Cubs single-season record. The speedster takes off from third, but Mookie Wilson's throw arrives right in time for Fitzgerald to make the double play tag. The Cubs could have taken the lead. They were denied. And so the Mets took advantage. Wally Bachman laces this drive up the middle. Denier bobbles it. Wilson scores easily. That was it for the game in the scoring department. 2-1. Gooden, with a little help from Jesse Orozco, who picked up his 21st save, goes the distance. Gooden got 7 strikeouts. He got 161 on the year. The Mets in one-run games, this is why they have a 4.5-game lead, are 25-10. They have won 7 straight games, the streakingest team in baseball. Around the rest of the league, Montreal dumps the Phillies 6-1. Pete Rose got a single, his 3,050th.
In looking and listening to the crowd here at Shea, we should have an asterisk and a footnote as Ron Darling goes to the mound. The Mets today will top their entire attendance for 1983. Going into this game, they've had 1,083,083.
Foster left field, but Davy Johnson's giving him a rest, day game after a night game, so Danny Heath...
Matching his shutout was Frank Viola, now winning for the Twins. Slow curveball hit wide to third. In the hole is Santana. The off-balance throw doesn't have enough plate. 3-2, and the fastball idea to go over that. Hit down to short. Santana on the bag, doubles him at first. Moving to his left is Boa, and at the bag throws him. 69 memories are just waiting to be recalled. Independent, and eventually the world champion. Breaks up a no-hitter with 1 out in the 9th inning in July of '69. Points to the bullpen, I want Lee Smith. And a discouraged, downcast, and disconsolate Rick Sutcliffe leaves the mound. A 3-3 tie. Mets at 10. Let's take a look. Do you remember the black hat that ran around the field? Leo DeRocher. 0-1. The word on Staub, of course, he will never score a run this year unless he hits a home run. Every time he gets aboard, they put in a pinch runner for him. But what a confrontation in a 3-3 tie.
He's probably the only designated hitter in the National League because he doesn't play. Johnson's doing it with a short roster, but this fellow's bat is so potent.
Only Pete Rose and Rod Carew have more hits than Rusty Staub amongst active players. 2-0. In there.
And for a young hitter, you know that Rusty looks like he just wants to get a piece of that. Put that ball in play. He's choked up on the bat, which is a trademark of his, but not a whole lot of useless action as he waits for the pitch from Smith. He's ready, he's cocked, and he's ready to swing quick and right now.
After 20 years and 87 days in the big leagues, prior to this year, he's seen it all. Now back. It's interesting to think that Pete Rose... Now 3-2 and 1 out in a tied-up game. Are you going to turn him loose? You have Fitzgerald at second, Santana at first.
Oh, I'd turn him loose because Rusty's going to get a piece of it. A strikeout's a rarity. And right here, you got that relief pitcher he's out there throwing and not thinking he's going to throw strikes.
Staub has struck out less than 10%. The runners go, and it's foul back.
You can see why relief pitchers are so valuable. As we look at Frank Howard flashing a series of signs, once again, does he want to start him? He's getting word from Davy Johnson some way, of course. That's Smith. He's just rearing back and firing as we look at Bobby Valentine, who's flashed the signs already at third.
Rusty with a dozen hits this year and 9 RBIs against a man who has inherited 21 runners in scoring position this year and only allowed 3 to score. The runners go, and the pitch hit off the hands. A looper, Durham, a rolling catch, throw.
The 6th inning, a 2-run shot, his 14th of the year. Foster has driven in 18 runs in the last 20 games, but the important fact for the Mets, the 4-1 victory snaps a 7-game losing streak. They're a half game behind the Cubs. The Cards are high.
To break it open here. Jacoby with that sidearm motion throws has a great arm.
Yeah, Milton May's not back there anymore. Lying down, I wouldn't be surprised to see him fire one.
1 ball, no strikes to Hubie. And it's ball and 3-0. And he takes, and the Mets take the lead 4-3.
That run is charged to Rod. Rusty, the leading pinch hitter. His 42nd of the year on that walk as you look at Rusty's numbers.
This ball popped up in foul territory. Over there is Morrison, and he'll make the play. Here comes a runner from third. The throw to the plate, not in time. A great play by Darryl Strawberry. Third, Strawberry left too soon, and they get the double play. Davy Johnson, who benefited by there, and the Mets get a break there as they have runners now at second. And it
way inside, ball 1. Popped up, got jammed. Pena left. And he hits a fly ball to left. Foster and Wilson going for it. The runner at second, Lacey, tags and goes. Fastball lofted in foul territory, and Hernandez has room. 2 away. And a ground ball. Hubie will take it, touch the bag, the Mets win. Pena grounds into a force play. Jesse Orozco dug a hole for himself, but pitched out of it, as you see Keith Hernandez and others coming to congratulate him on.
Summer, see all of.
Got a single down the line. That scored a run. Mets lead by 2 after an inning of play. Bruce Bereni was sensational for the Mets tonight. Foster, by the way, was thrown out at second. Later in the game, Keith Hernandez hit a home run with a man on to put the Mets on top by a score of 6-0. Mets got 15 hits tonight, beat the Braves 7-0. 15 hits and 7 runs. Bereni gave up only 2 hits. The Mets are truly for real. On the scoreboard, the Cubs lost 8-0. Rookie pitcher Orel Hershiser pitched a...
And Golden scoops it out of the dirt. June. And he's making his second big league start. Strikes out Wilson, so a very 7.5. It's the Mets 2 and the Reds 1. Those of you watching the Phillies and the Braves, let's send you back to Atlanta and Don.
Average of 4.69, but you can throw those numbers out when he faces his former ball club.
Tuning in to Sports Channel, the home of the home teams, because we've got New York sports covered.
New York Mets baseball has been brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers and proud sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team. For all you do, this Bud's for you. By Toyota's new cars and trucks for 1984. Toyota invites you to see them at your local dealer. By Getty. At Getty, the proof is at the pump. By TWA. For ease and comfort coast to coast, you're going to like TWA. And by the New York Mets.
Shea, who got the Mets a much-needed victory. Dwight Gooden held the Pirates at bay while the Mets offense scored just enough to beat the Pirates and stay 4.5 games behind the Cubs. First inning, the Mets bats were alive. With Hernandez on second, Foster on first, Ubi Brooks lines a shot off the wall in left field. Hernandez scores easily from second, but Foster doesn't run too well. They missed the cutoff throw. Foster safe at the plate. Mets up by a score of 2-0. Dwight Gooden had his mojo working tonight. The kid was sensational. When he gets his curveball over, the batters just don't have a chance. There he dropped the curveball in. Gooden had 10 strikeouts tonight. His game tonight, I think it's 8 or 9 games that he's had 10 or more strikeouts. I think he has 181 so far in the season. That's a record for Mets pitchers. George Foster continued to show that he can still swing the bat. The people that are down on Foster to get off his back and cheer the guy. He's done his part, even though the Mets have struggled. The Mets led at one time 3-0, but Pirates got to within 3-1. Final out, it was exciting. Rafael Santana back, gets the ball, saves it for Jesse Orozco. The Mets snapped their 6-game losing streak. They beat the Pirates by a score of 3-1. How excited was the Mets bench? This is how they looked at the final catch by Santana. All right, we're off to Schneid. Mets win and snap their losing streak. This afternoon up in Montreal, the Cubs won a game that pennants are made of. Montreal's Charlie Lee had baffled the Cubs till the 9th inning. That's when Keith Moreland snapped a 1-1 tie, singling home Brian Sandberg, giving the Cubs a 2-1 victory. On the scoreboard, Phillies beat the Cardinals 6-8 for the Cubs.
The Cincinnati Reds and Pete Rose's debut 6-4. Lurking in third place, the Philadelphia Phillies 5.5 back. Here at Windy Candlestick tonight, two right-handers, Dwight Gooden for the Mets with a 10-8 record, a 3.21 ERA. He will be opposed by Mike Krukow, who is also 10-8, a 4.27 ERA. Coming up here on Sports Channel.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Bud Light, the light beer with a taste all its own. Satisfying but never filling, so ask for Bud Light. By Toyota's new cars and trucks for 1984. Toyota invites you to see them at your local dealer. By Getty. At Getty, the proof is at the pump. By TWA. For ease and comfort coast to coast, you're going to like TWA. And by the New York Mets.
Live from Candlestick Park in San Francisco, California, Sports Channel presents Mets baseball. Tonight, the Mets take on the San Francisco Giants. The starting pitchers for the Mets, Dwight Gooden with a record of 10-8, an earned run average of 3.26. And it's hit hard down to the first base and a fine backhand grab by Oliver. Calling scoops. And now the pitch. And Krukow's breaking ball a call. And strike three, and Hernandez knows it. Struck him out on a fast because of the defensive problem. And there's a strike call to the bell.
You understand what I'm saying? Put the game back on. All right. Mets did not score in the first inning. Thank you, Carol. Against the Giants, Gooden against Krukow. Now, a big opportunity for the Mets because the Cubs have already lost again. The big game tonight in Cincinnati, Pete Rose's debut as the playing manager. The Reds beat the Cubs 6-4. So once again, if the Mets beat the Giants tonight, the Mets cut it to a game and a half. Let's go to the videotape. 35,000 turned out in Cincinnati. Number 14, manager Pete Rose, taking the lineup card out to the ump. Number 14, player Pete Rose, batting second, playing first base. First time up in Reds uniform after being traded away or being the free agent. Rose singles center field by Denier. Rita scores. Look at this. Rose with the old head first slide. Even though he didn't have to, there was no throw. Now, Goulden then, former Yankee, base hit. And here comes Rose in to score. The Reds led 2-1. Playing manager Pete Rose. Then, bottom of the seventh, 5-4 Reds. And look at Rose, comes through again. Double in the left field. Foley scores, and watch Rose again. Another hit first slide. 6-4, the Reds win it. What a debut for Rose. The fans went crazy.
All right, 27, top of the first. Look at this. Davey Lopes the batter. Ground ball, double play ball to Meacham. He boots it for one error. Look at this. Come on, give us a break. Throws to the third. Dave Kingman, boom, folks. That's a 425-foot homer. Kingman leads the majors in RBIs, now has 99, his 30th homer of the year. Look at Yogi and Joe Brinkman. Look at that. Kick dirt on him, Yogi. Left foot, right foot. That's it. And back comes Brinkman. That's it, Yankees.
Left fence with the wind blowing in to just the count, and Brooks hits it through the middle of base hit. Foster, there's a foul ball straight, and it's just out of the strike zone. And the Cub player's got five. High foul ball, a runner going with the pitch. Coming back to the mound.
I can remember one time a new bat boy was working the dugout. One game, that's all they could do. Gaylord, foul ball. Strawberry ball gets by Brindley. And the runners move up a base. Giants. And a breaking ball pulled foul. And he slaps the ball foul. Third, and Strawberry hits a bullet right at Al Oliver.
One hit for the Giants. Well hit down the left field line, and Dusty Baker won't get it. It's in the corner off the wall. Fitzgerald going to second. Here's the throw to Trio, but it takes it.
In two separate cities in one day. Did it in Chicago with the Mets.
Same ballpark.
Doubleheaders.
Doubleheaders.
The Cardinals.
Is that right?
And the reason it was made was because Bob Gibson had broken his leg.
And a 3-2 pitch strikes out Joel Youngblood. Third strikeout for Darling. He has now retired 10 in a row. And the Mets still lead 2-1 after 4 innings of play.
In a 5-game span. Candy Maldonado was a sweet late inning replacement. In the finale, Ron Cey provided the game winner with his 18th home run. And in the Cubs' next series against Houston, Cey collected career RBI number 1,000 uniform by going all the way and striking out 11 for the sight of an historic occasion as Pete's former teammate, Johnny Bench, became the first Reds player ever to have his number retired.
Our favorite,
JB, number 5, Johnny Bench.
Only the number 1, it's a Volkswagen. San Diego's 24-year-old Tony Gwynn is having some kind of a year at the plate. He's been leading the league in hitting almost since opening day, and his current average of better than .360 tops the majors by some 15 points. And for this week's quiz, can you name the last National Leaguer to hit
In the first game of a doubleheader, the San Francisco Giants came from behind to beat the Mets 7-6, and the Mets were in good shape for a while, and Bob Picosi was there watching. Well, the Mets took the lead in the 9th inning. This single by Hubie Brooks scored Keith Hernandez. That gave the Mets a 6-5 lead, but it didn't hold up. In the bottom of the 9th inning, Brad Wellman came up, blasted a 2-run homer to give the Giants the win. The final was 7-6. Elsewhere in the National League, the second game of that doubleheader today, the Mets came back to get the win 4-2, but bad news for the Mets because Chicago won. They down
with his 19th homer of the year, but the Mets fell behind 2-1. In the 6th, Jerry Martin took a page from the Brad Wellman "You're not supposed to be able to do that" book. Belted his second home run, rather third of the year to left field. And Bruce Bernie won his second game in a row. He went 8 innings to win 4-2. He even had 3 hits to help out, and the Mets now trail the Cubs by 3. Yankees, they're making the pitchers for the Oakland A's check up on their insurance policies. Yesterday it was 8-0 New York, and today they came up with 9 and another victory. Dennis Rasmussen's day started out just great. His wife gave birth to a baby girl this morning. He shut out the A's for the first 4 innings, but he got tired. We'll pick it up with the score tied 4-all in the 8th. Mike Heath lined a single to right, scoring Dwayne Murphy to make it 5-4 Oakland. And then Bruce Bochy doubled to left to score Heath. The A's were on top 6-4, but Jay Howell struck out Jim Essien to stop that rally. In the bottom of the 8th, Bill Caudle fell apart. Dave Winfield had a 2-run single to complete a 4-for-4 afternoon and 3 RBIs. These 2 runs tied the game at 6. And Ken Griffey put the finishing touches on the Yankee offense. His 3rd home run of the season. 2 men were on base when he hit it into the right field seats. Righetti pitched the 9th. The Yankees won at 9-6. Their bats coming alive again. While the Mets were Cincinnati 9-6 this afternoon.
Ron Say belted a 3-run homer, his 20th in the first inning, and the Cubs, who scored 7 in the first yesterday, had a 4-0 lead. They would need more. Pete Rose had 2 more hits, gave him an 8-for-15 series, 5 RBIs since he became player manager of the Reds, since he took a 6-4 lead with 5 in the fourth. But
Scores. Strawberry scores. Foster's heading for second. Safe. And I've got to say that's a mistake by Andy Hawkins on an 0-2 pitch. He had a lot of ways to go with Foster and just laid a fastball right around the letters, and George took care of it. And the batter's going to be Rafael Santana. It's now a 2-2 ball game. But a catcher can't go out there every 0-2 count. You'd have 6 kills. The Mets are ahead for the first time in 3 ball games. They lead 3-2. Rafael Santana comes through again. What a job he has done. Now, Lefferts and Gossage both in the game last night. Gossage with 2 consecutive saves Monday and...
Games that knock you off the track and games that get you back on track.
There goes Santana. 3 runs here in the 6th inning on 4. 6 more starts is going to catch Alexander, and more than an outside chance to catch Score.
Dwight has, in fact, struck out 22 batters in his last 2 starts coming into tonight, 10 and 12 respectively. And in 10 games, this struck out.
Drafted as a first baseman, he has that kind of size. Ground ball out to the second base side. Al Wiggins drops the ball. And Gooden is safe on the air. Mookie hits a ground ball to the shortstop. Templeton will go to third, and the ball gets away. Gooden is safe. Mookie goes on down to second base, and the ball goes in the dugout, and the Mets get a run on the throwing error. And again, a foul. He had to deprogram himself after playing college football. He said he had to get some of that muscle off. And again, it's foul parts. Ground ball in the hole, and Mookie gets a base hit. It's in their lineup at the last minute. Deck circle. And there's a ball for ball 2. 2 balls in the pitch, and the ball hit in the hole. A perfectly executed.
So 2, and you pitch him like it's 2-0.
And let's see where Mike Fitzgerald gives it. I'm surprised at the target, unless he wants it in the middle of the plate. Nice put. Whoop.
The Ladies' Home Journal next year. Or next month. That is it. I mean, the interest in that shot. That is great.
They have no sympathy for Rod. And the ball is popped up right field. Strawberry in pursuit makes the play. And throw the ball. Yes, sir. Darryl Strawberry holding the ball. Just to find out he was 23. He looked about 29. In fact, he still looks the same. If you're wondering what time it is, with a big turn at first base. Down in second. And Strawberry takes the ball up. Strawberry 2-2 pitch to Strawberry. Score. Keith Hernandez will hit for third base. And the throw comes into home.
1-1.
Long gone. Ready to take a 3-1 lead into the 9th inning with Tom Seaver going for his 13th victory. But Toronto's Lloyd Mosby, pinch hitting, has something to say about that. Bloop's the epitome of the Texas leaguer in the left, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 or 4 Chicago players. 2-run score, and the Blue Jays go on to win it 4-3. Couple late games in the American League.
Big brawl in the American League, Yankees and California. Cleared the benches twice, 3 players ejected. Yankees won the game 5-3. Kansas City cut down.
Took place this afternoon. Bottom of the 5th, Ray Fontenot to Juan Benitez. Benitez to the mound. Fontenot throws his glove, and that sets him off. The man that got him from behind was Rick Cerrone. Cerrone all over everybody. It was a wild free-throw. In the center of it was Dave Winfield, along with Reggie Jackson. Expect that there will be fine. Oh, by the way, Yankees won the game 5-3.
5th win, giving him 60 career shutouts, the most of any active pitcher and 7th best on the all-time list. Who recently passed the 200 strikeout mark. Averaging almost 11 per game, he is well on his way to posting the best strikeout ratio ever in one season.
Was made by Larry Robinson.
Because the Cubs beat the Phillies in 12 innings today 4-3. Let's take a look at that ball game. Gary Matthews hit a home run to make it 3-0 in favor of the Cubs. And then back came Mike Schmidt. He pops one out to make it 3-1. Ozzie Virgil tied the ball game up at 3-3 against this guy, Rick Sutcliffe, who struck out 15 of the Phillies. With a game tied, the Phillies gave up an unearned run. Chicago wins the ball game 4-3 again at 4 as Joe Cowley and Dave Righetti combine. The Crusher, you recognize the man, David Winfield. He slashed one into the seats in left field, his 17th home run of the year. He had 2 hits today. Mattingly had none. Winfield is now hitting .354, and the Yankees won this one by a score of 2-0. Righetti got the save, helping out Joe Cowley. Let's take...
Also, St. Louis now led 4-3. Joaquin Andujar won his 18th game of the season. He left in the 6th with a muscle pull. Heroic.
It's leave none, and the score at the end of 1/2 inning. The Mets won. The Cubs coming up. Now here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover. Can won a Golden Glove. To become the first player to win a Golden Glove after moving from a position. Ryan Sandberg. He's had trouble. He has struck out, already picking up his first strikeout. White Sox. 1980 is with the White Sox. 1981 with Milwaukee. The first. And the throw to first base retires aside. So the Cubs go in order. The score at the end of 1. The Mets won, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word 10 against the Cubs this year. And the fastball chopped out to Ron Say, the third baseman. And this ball chopped out to the first base side. Durham gets to it, makes the tag on top.
A Bud Light.
And Steve Trout with the fastball picks up a strike. Right here in Chicago, the Chicken making a visit to pay homage to Tim McCarver.
And a fly ball to George Foster. 6 p.m. 1 week from tomorrow, that's when 2 of America's most successful families come to Channel 9. Jonathan and Jennifer Hart, and J.R. and the Ewing clan. Heart to Heart at 6 p.m. and Dallas at 7. Bruce Perenni, the batter. Wednesdays on Channel 9, beginning Monday, September 24th. Don't miss it. Heart to Heart in Dallas. High chopper. Say he'll have a tough time. Gets him. Bruce Perenni couldn't get out of the batter's box. 3 pitches, 2 outs here in the 3rd inning.
Well, this is one ground ball that you could lose in the sun. That ball is really chopped up there, and Say does have trouble with the sun on it. But he makes the play and gets it to first base in time for the out.
Looks like Perenni was watching the ball.
Put him in the pen.
Put him back in his shell. Here's Larry Boa, who was in a shell in high school because he was cut by his high school coach 2 times. Since that time, he has 2,200 major league hits. Grounded toward Chapman. Oh, hurry.
The lead 3-2 at the end of 4.5 innings.
Okay, and talk about it. A lot of fun, and this year has been fun, not only personally, but for the Mets as a team and the organization.
He's got the ball in front of him. The hitter against the New York Mets. He's also 11 for his last 31 times at bat.
Fastball misses, so Bosley draws.
And he's in there by a mile.
One and one to Durham, who's driven in the only 2 runs for the Cubs. Bases loaded single in the 3rd. 3-2 ball game. Mets up. Cubs with only 2 base hits. Dave LaPointe. Here's Bob Dernier with 1 out. Trout at first. Slider is high. A swinging strikeout. Oh, baby. Talk about having things go your way.
He felt this was his play all the way. He blocks the ball in the dirt. Now they bang together, and Fitzgerald is really upset. Bosley goes to third easily, and to Durham's credit, he never...
Slider lifted to right field and hit pretty well, but that wind grabs it, and Strawberry makes the catch.
RTV.
Jams him with a fastball. Durham, or Sandberg, will have to hurry to Durham. Off the bag at first base. Bill Robinson made that call, the first base coach, alerting first base umpire Jim.
Bereni really got eaten up with that ball, but blooped it out there, and Durham had to stretch so far that he pulled himself off the bag.
Mets have scored 3 times in this inning. Twice in the 5th, once in the 1st. They lead 6-2. Try to time Steve Trout. He gave up 6 hits, but 6 runs. The Mets scoring 3 runs.
On the left field side, Larry Bowe over to make the call.
The first base umpire, John Kibler, also was taking a look, but you can see on the replay it was clearly in the stands. There wasn't a signal given. Strawberry thought it was a home run when he got to second base, and he kind of looked around looking for the call. Finally it came.
So Darrell picks up 3 more runs batted in. He has 4 for this ball game. And a drive into left field. It's way back going, and it is caught at the wall. So the catch in left field by Thad Bosley ends the inning. 6.5 innings. It is the Mets.
First, he struck out, but reached on a wild pitch on the 3rd strike. They haven't needed a whole lot of help. Lays off the slider, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's that shadow right between home plate and the pitcher's mound now that comes into play this time of day and this time of year. Drum and cymbal, boy, they're coming up with all kinds of things. Buttons that light up, scarves, and everything else.
The bat of Keith Moreland. Coming over to the bag is Ray Knight, and right there he just had trouble, couldn't make the play, and it's the only hit allowed by Gooden. A reminder, stay tuned following local news for the Tonight Show starring Johnny.
Had a great game, 3 RBIs. Here he doubles to left center to score 2. It was 3-0 Mets. The Cubs walked Darryl Strawberry to pitch to George Foster. Big mistake, a 3-run shot. Mets had themselves a 6-0 lead, and the rout was on. Then in the 6th, they don't walk Strawberry. Big mistake. There she goes. The Mets were on top 10-0, and this thing was history. In the meantime, rookie Dwight Gooden was mowing him down. 11 strikeouts tonight. He set a rookie record for strikeouts in a season. A one-hitter for Gooden tonight. A one-hitter for Dwight Gooden, 11 strikeouts. The Mets win Game 1. They are now 6 games out. For others, the series is happening right now at Fenway. It's the Yanks and the Sox tonight. Don Baylor did it again, a 2-run homer in the top of the 9th as the Yanks came back to take the Sox 4-2. Game 2 tomorrow afternoon. Well, the 2
somewhere inside a computer, and Poughkeepsie most likely did himself proud tonight. 3 of the 4 division leaders played their closest rivals, but the one that generated the most enthusiasm, perhaps, is taking place at Shea Stadium. The K's stand for closer, New York-style spelling, and closer because of Dwight Gooden's amazing pitching. The Mets teenager was brilliant again, striking out 11 and establishing a National League record for rookie strikeouts. Gave up just 1 hit. That could have been called an error. He got terrific and immediate offensive help, though. Mookie Wilson's RBI single and an error on Ryan Sandberg here in the 3rd inning made it 3-0. And the Mets were on their way to the opener. In this one, they had to win it, and they did. In the 6th, it became a blowout. Darryl Strawberry's 21st home run closed the door. Boom. Made it 10-0 in the...
Beat the Cubs 5-1 yesterday. Keith Hernandez driving in a run, as he has so often this year. He's had, well, if they were going to win it, I'd have to vote for him for the Most Valuable Player award, but they might give it to Ryan Sandberg of the Cubs because apparently they're going to be, well, with a 6-game lead, 19 to play. They got the Mets have them out in Chicago 3 games next week, but the Cubs have 13 of the remaining 19 at home, and you know how tough they are at Wrigley Field. A home run by Hubie Brooks made it 5-0. The final was 5-1. And in Boston, let's not forget that the Yankees in Boston played a series This weekend, the Yankees won 2 of the 3, but yesterday the Red Sox did get a win. Wade Boggs had 4 hits as the Sox won this game 10-1. Boggs has 14 hits in his last 18 at-bats. Friends, that is super baseball. Another double by Boggs off the wall. Again, the final was 10-1, so the Red Sox avoiding a sweep by the Yankees as they play out the string and head into next season. Boston winning that game again 10-1. Tonight,
only a miracle will save the Mets, but there was still some magic at Shea tonight, and that magic was Dwight Gooden. Let's go to the tape of the ball game. In this one, Gooden needed 10 strikeouts to tie Herb Score's all-time 245. He got that, and he got a lot more. He wound up with 16 strikeouts. He now holds the all-time rookie record, 251 strikeouts in a season. Previous record was 245. As a result of this home run by Hubie Brooks, the Mets won it. Their final again was 2-0. Watch Gooden. Gorgeous curveball. Take another look. He was just masterful tonight. Third shutout of the season. He's won 16 ball games, and the crowd was wild. In Chicago, the Cubs...
Scores record getting opposing pitcher John Tudor for his 5th consecutive K in the 6th. Now the record breaker. Let's pick up the call of Ralph Kiner.
2 balls, 2 strikes. The record. Dwight Gooden has set a new Major League record for strikeouts by a rookie pitcher.
After the game, Don Gould talked with Dr. K.
What did you know about Herb Score coming into this game and his record?
well, I had thought about, after my last outing, and Charlie told me, and they said you could do it tonight, but, the main thing I wanted to win and get the team on the white track, and I figured it'd probably take 2 games, but I'm happy, it happened this game, is over and out the way now.
So 16 Ks for Gooden. That is 2 shot games.
Orthodox who just crushed it. The outfield barely budged. The ball sailed over the wall, out of the park. The only thing that stopped it was a great catch by the 10th man on the team, a fan on Waveland Avenue. Sandberg's 19th home of the year completed a 6-run inning, and the Cubs never trailed again. It finished 11-5. The magic number is headed now for single digits.
Magic number was 10 now, so the Cubs are in the news, and we'll have one of the key
Out 16 on this night at Shea Stadium, tying the highest of anyone this year in one game.
Chicago scrubbed the Expos and Cubs. So without having to put on a uniform, the Cubs inched a little closer towards a title.
The second-place Mets helped by wilting instead of winning Thursday afternoon at Shea Stadium against Pittsburgh. New York's hanging on a ledge. The last-place nothing-to-lose Pirates played it loose, risky, but smart. In the second, Larry McWilliams bunted. When Ray Knight went to first for the out, Doug Frobel broke for the plate and made it. But the larger problem for the Mets was they couldn't get anybody out. In the 7th, Jim Morrison poked a soft liner that hugged the line and left. The bases were loaded, and the double sent everybody home. When the dust cleared, the Bucks led 8-1. Morrison would go on to drive in 6 runs. The Pirates poured it on and won 14-4.
Today and 4 hits. He has been on.
So what a crucial and demoralizing loss. Then the Mets now trail by 7.5 and open a weekend last stand series in Chicago tomorrow afternoon. The Mets have not won a game at Wrigley Field all season. They need all 3 this weekend. So Chicago leads by 7.5. Mets have 15 left to catch them in the East. The Padres lead the West by 10.5 over Atlanta and Houston. San Diego's magic number is now 9. Well, not much on the line for the Cardinals and Phillies tonight, but individually, Joaquin...
8-1 Pittsburgh. Top of the 8th, the Pirates threatening again, looking like the lumber company of old with 2 men on. Morrison singles to drive in 2 more. In all, 6 runs batted in.
It's leave none, and the score at the end of 1/2 inning, the Mets won. The Cubs coming up. Now, here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover. Won a Golden Glove. To become the first player to win a Golden Glove after moving from a position. Ryan Sandberg. He's had trouble. He has struck out for only picking up his first strikeout. White Sox. 1980 is with the White Sox. 1981 with Milwaukee. First. And the throw to first base retires aside. So the Cubs go in order. The score at the end of 1. The Mets won, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word 10 against the Cubs this year. And the fastball chopped out to Ron Say, the third baseman. And this ball topped out to the first base side. Durham gets to it, makes the tag on top.
A Bud Light.
And Steve Trout with the fastball picks up a strike. Right here in Chicago, the Chicken making a visit to pay homage to Tim McCarver.
And a fly ball to George Foster. 6 p.m. 1 week from tomorrow, that's when two of America's most successful families come to Channel 9. Jonathan and Jennifer Hart, and JR and the Ewing clan, heart to heart at 6 p.m. and Dallas at 7. Bruce Perrini, the batter. Wednesdays on Channel 9, beginning Monday, September 24th. Don't miss it. Heart to heart in Dallas. High chopper. Say he'll have a tough time. Gets him. Bruce Perrini couldn't get out of the batter's box. 3 pitches, 2 outs here in the 3rd inning.
Well, this is one ground ball that you could lose in the sun. That ball is really chopped up there, and Shea does have trouble with the sun on it. But he makes the play and gets it to first base in time for the out.
Looks like Perrini was watching the ball.
Put him in the pen.
Put him back in his shell. Here's Larry Boa, who was in a shell in high school because he was cut by his high school coach 2 times. Since that time, he has 2,200 major league hits. Grounded toward Chapman. Oh, hurry.
To lead 3-2 at the end of 4.5 innings.
Okay, and talk about it. A lot of fun, and this year has been fun, not only personally, but for the Mets as a team and the organization.
He's got the ball in front of him. The hitter against the New York Mets. He's also 11 for his last 31 times at bat.
Fastball misses, so Bosley draws.
And he's in there by a mile.
One and one to Durham, who has driven in the only 2 runs for the Cubs. Bases loaded single in the 3rd. 3-2 ball game. Mets up. Cubs with only 2 base hits. Dave LaPointe. Here's Bob Dernier with 1 out. Trout at first. Slider is high. A swinging strikeout. Oh, baby. Talk about having things go your way.
He felt this was his play all the way. He blocks the ball in the dirt. Now they bang together, and Fitzgerald is really upset. Bosley goes to 3rd easily, and to Durham's credit, he never...
Slider lifted to right field and hit pretty well, but that wind grabs it, and Strawberry makes the catch.
RTV.
Jams him with a fastball. Durham, or Sandberg, will have to hurry to Durham. Off the bag at first base. Bill Robinson made that call, the first base coach, alerting first base umpire Jim Flick.
Perrini really got eaten up with that ball, but blooped it out there, and Durham had to stretch so far that he pulled himself off the bag.
Mets have scored 3 times in this inning. Twice in the 5th, once in the 1st. They lead 6-2. Try to time Steve Trout. He gave up 6 hits, but 6 runs. The Mets scoring 3 runs.
On the left field side, Larry Bow over to make the call.
The first base umpire, John Kibler, also was taking a look, but you can see on the replay it was clearly in the stands. There wasn't a signal given. Strawberry thought it was a home run when he got to second base, and he kind of looked around looking for the call. Finally it came.
So Darrell picks up 3 more runs batted in. He has 4 for this ball game. And a drive into left field. It's way back going, and it is caught at the wall. So the catch in left field by Thad Bosley ends the inning. 6.5 innings. It is the Mets.
First, he struck out, but reached on a wild pitch on the 3rd strike. drum and cymbal. Boy, they're coming up with all kinds of things. Buttons that light up, scarves, and everything else. They haven't needed a whole lot of help. Lays off the slider, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's that shadow right between home plate and the pitcher's mound now that comes into play this time of day and this time of year.
Eddie Murray with a home run.
But in Game 2, Jim Fry's Cubs came right back, powered in part by Gary Matthews' 11th home run. This time, it was Rick Sutcliffe's turn to toss a shutout, striking out 12 along the way and allowing just 4 hits to up his spectacular Cub record to 14-1. But in Game 3, the Mets busted through again behind rookie Ron Darling, who improved his record to 12-6 with 8 strikeouts in as many innings. Brooks went 2 for 4 with career-high home run number.
Frazier's 2nd RBI of the year. He hasn't played all that much, and his first double, first extra base hit, as a matter of fact. I take that back. He does have 1 home run.
Goodbye, objectivity. Whatever. For those of you who prematurely buried the Mets, and you know who you are, don't look now, but it's getting close again. The Mets winner over the Montreal Expos 4-2. They're back within 6. Expo 5th, the Mets up 1-0. I thought this play was going to hurt the Mets. With the bases loaded, they get the double play ball, but Wally Backman drops it. 2 runs, scores. Expos lead 2-1. Bottom of the 6th, still 2-1. Hubie Brooks with a 2-out, 2-strike, big base hit. That is going to bring home Keith Hernandez, tie this game at 2-2. Then the Mets 7th, they've regained the edge 3-2. That's Keith Hernandez. Some needed insurance. This one is going to go off the wall and right. Ron Hodges is going to score. That makes it 4-2 Mets. There comes Hodges, and that is the final. How did the Cubs do? Well, they were rained out in St. Louis, so they're going to double up tomorrow. I said the Mets are within 6, so let's just think. Cubs drop 2 tomorrow. Mets win. It's back to 4.5. All right. If you think just because out today, Dan P.
Mets now lead it 3-2.
Well, Wally Backman doing a good job here of getting the bat on the ball. Hits the ball hard. And he picks up his 25th run. Mookie going after it. He's been certainly doing that all of his career.
Oh, good play. Sal Butera, the catcher, got him.
Corner next to innings to win it for the Mets. And the pitcher is Gary Lucas.
I was going to say, who was the pitcher? Gary Lucas. That was April 19th of this year. Fastball. And there goes the runner. Ball hit well to right center. Way back. Way back. This ball is off the wall. Hodges will score. Hernandez into second base with his 94th RBI of the year. Mets up 4-2. Keith Hernandez comes through again. Mercy.
Well, the percentage is certainly not applicable to Keith Hernandez. He hits left-handers as well as right-handers, and right here he takes this pitch off of the wall in right center.
Hernandez now coming in to score. Strawberry going to third, and the Mets lead 3-1.
Well, the Phillies jumped out to a 1-0 lead.
Phillies playing their infield back with the exception of the first baseman, Al Oliver. And the breaking ball. Just think that there's a drive to center field, but Von Hayes is right there. Fastball, it's through. And the throw by Virgil is in time. At the end of 1. The Mets 4 and the Phillies 1.
Mark is second in the win category in the National League. In ERA, rookie Oral Hershiser of the Dodgers is better than Fernando Valenzuela's 228, and in saves, Bruce Sutter with 43, and he...
Ford Middle Country Road, Center Ridge.
Yes, Dr. Ruth and myself. A fine combination. But yes, it is all over in the National League East. The Cubs have won their first title in 39 years. They clinched it by beating the Pirates 4-1 on a 2-hitter by Rick Sutcliffe, and fans traveling from Chicago to Pittsburgh, took in the clincher. Here's how it ended, the call of Harry Carey.
Cubs are the champion! The Cubs are the champion! The Cubs win! Look at that mob scene!
Oh, man, all the work the whole year, the spring training, the off-season, everything makes it worthwhile right now.
Weren't you the one who said, what did the Mets do?
Yeah, what did the Mets do tonight?
Well, Jody, out of Shea tonight, the Mets did beat the Phillies by the score of 7-5, and when that Cub victory was announced at the ballpark, nice touch. Mets receiving a standing ovation, fans responding to what has been a superb season. As for the game, in the 8th, pinch hitter Rusty Staub with the key hit. This with the bases loaded, drove in two-run double, snapping a 5-5 tie. Mets beat the Phils 7-5. After the game, Sal Marciano talked with an emotional Met manager, Davey Johnson.
Well, that's a big letdown because you don't come into this thing, or at least I never have, coming into it without thinking that I could win. And I'm not in any way disappointed with this group out here. I'm very proud of them, but our day will come.
Our day will come, says Met manager Davey Johnson, referring to the Cub clinching tonight. In Baltimore this evening, Orioles swept a twi-nighter from the Yanks. First game 8-1, Mike Boddicker winning number 19. Second game, Birds won it 7-6. Don Mattingly did come up with his 200th hit. First Yankee since Bobby Richardson to have a 200-hit season. That was back in '62. And a sporting gesture, fans in Baltimore giving Mattingly an appreciative ovation. He's at 342. Mattingly 3 for 8, so he leads by 3 at 345.
Historical timing was right on.
It was 17 years to the day, the same stadium, but 3 uniforms and 499 home runs later, when Reggie Jackson became only the 13th player in baseball history to hit 500 home runs.
It's real personal, and it's a real kind of a selfish, it's your goal, it's your, thing, and so that is something that is real different or unique about this.
Be a big plus to the Angels.
I think that it'll probably make Reggie Jackson a better hitter. I don't have to hit a home run now.
Larry Anderson on the mound, Jose Akendo the runner at first, and look at this one, tied at 4. Pinch hitter Rusty Staub brings the crowd of 14,000 to its feet. It's out of here. 2-run game-winning homer for Staub, who won last night's game with a pinch double in the 8th.
Wrigley Field in Chicago if they were ever going to catch the Cubs. Well, they did it a little bit too late. They finally got their first win of the season at Wrigley. 9-3 was the final score, but they are 8.5 games back. The Chicken was in Chicago. A little early celebration. The magic number is 5 for the Cubs. The Cubs did take the lead in the bottom of the 3rd. Bruce Berenier pitching for the Mets. Leon Durham singles through the right side, and Trout and Dernier score. Cubs lead is 2-1. Top of the 5th now. Mets strike back off Steve Trout. Ray Knight singles to left. Thad Bosley tries to gun down Darryl Strawberry. Bosley throws the ball away. Strawberry trots home, and they're all tied up at 2 apiece. Now, still in the 5th, the Chicken trying to put the hex on the Mets. It just doesn't work. But Mike Fitzgerald answers with a single to right. That brings home Ray Knight, and the Mets have a 3-2 lead. Top of the 6th now, Mets add to that lead. Darryl Strawberry singles up the middle, and Keith Hernandez and George Foster score ahead of the throw by Dernier. The infield, of course, drawn in that situation. The Mets with the lead now 5-2. Top of the 7th, it was Strawberry's day. Reliever Glenn Meredith in, and Strawberry takes him deep, and see it. 3-run shot. This one just barely clears the wall. 22nd homer for Strawberry. He had 5 ribbies on the afternoon. And the Mets defeat the Cubs. Final score right there from Wrigley Field is 9-3. New York goes on to Philadelphia now, where they'll try to hold off the Phillies and maintain 2nd place. Chicago gets a day off.
Game. In fact, he faced only 27 batters. The Angels shut out the Rangers 1-0. And for that game, let's go to Arlington, Texas. Now, Mike Witt of the Angels, he's a big, strong right-hander. He was letter perfect this afternoon. He started the 9th, striking out Tom Dunbar. Then batter number 26, Bobby Jones. Jones, a 2-hopper to Rob Wilfong. That's easy. That's 2 out. He needs but 1 more. Mar Foley is the man. Mar Foley, he bounces out to Wilfong. Wilfong will make the play. Mike Witt, his first perfect game. In fact, it's the first perfect game since Len Barker did it with the Indians back in 1981. Congratulations to Mike Witt. He was the man of the day. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Cards Bruce Sutter going for his 46th save of the year with the Cardinals leading 1-0. Thad Bosley base hit to center field. Henry Cotto will come in to score. This ties the game at 1-1 in the 9th.
Now the bases are loaded. Keith Moreland is the man up at the plate. You need a double play ball with only one out. You've got it. Pendleton to home. Broomer has thrown to first. Wild throw. That will bring in Bosley to score. The Cubs, before a delirious crowd in Chicago, they go on to win 2-1. In Atlanta, the fans were asking.
Last night, the Angels helped bury themselves by getting beat twice in Kansas City. They were back again tonight in what would be the closest thing to a must game. The Angels found that he never had it. In the second inning, Chicago sent 11 men to the plate and had 8 hits. This Rudy Law double made it 3-0. A single later, Butcher was out of there. Ed Hodge relieved and faced Harold Baines. The score was 4-0, and with one swipe, it was 6-0. A 2-run shot. That's plenty for Tom Seaver. He gave up 3 runs in the third inning, but then settled in very nicely. Seaver went 8 2/3, struck out 3.
Filler until 1984, the turnaround year. One of the first things you noticed at Shea, people. Winning will do that. It brought him back, and with that, the Flushing Wave. This man brought a lot of fans to Shea. Dwight Gooden, the fireball and phenom, set strikeout records, most ever for a rookie pitcher, 276. He won 17 games. He will be the Rookie of the Year. A lot of MVP votes should go to number 17, Keith Hernandez. He did it at the plate, batted over 300, and it seemed like whenever you needed the big hit, Keith was there. Led the team in walks, led the National League, I think, in game-winning RBIs, but Hernandez also does it in the field, should win another Gold Glove, bring in the leadership. What a year for Keith.
The slogan at Shea Stadium this year was Catch the Rising Stars, and the Rising Stars rose all the way to first, battled for first, finished a strong second. Now here's what I want you to do. On a scale of 1 to 10, tell me how you thought the Mets did this year. Pick a number. You got it? All right, now let's compare it to how the Mets rated themselves.
I had to say it was a 9, other than if the only way it would be a 10 if we won our division. But a 9 is a very close 9. I mean, it's just right next to 10.
The number is?
10.
I give us a 9 this year.
Mookie, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate the 84 Mets season.
11.
A scale of 1 to 10. 8. Do I have to? Yes, it's in your contract.
Oh, okay. Well, I had to give it, I guess, an 8 or 9, maybe because we didn't win. If we would have won, well, I had to give it 11.
Ron, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate the 84 Mets season.
I think it's a 10 because we've really done a lot more than anyone really thought we could accomplish, and we've gone from last place to second place. I think that's a great deal.
9.
Or 11. 8 plus.
8. Davey Johnson, manager of the New York Mets. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate this season.
Well, you know, when you come in second, it's hard for me to rate it as a great season, but I'd say it's about an 8.
Rick Sutcliffe helped himself with a single to center to drive in Larry Boer for the 2-0 Cubs lead. In the Cubs' third, another run for the cause after Ryan Sandberg's double to left. Keith Moreland bunt thrown away by Jim Morrison. Sandberg scored to make it 3-0. In the meantime, Sutcliffe was mowing them down from the mound. Doug Frobel here was strikeout victim number 2, the 7th Pirate in a row to be retired. Sutcliffe pitching a masterful game, giving up a run in the 5th, but only 2 hits all along the way. This 9th strikeout, Joe Orsulak to end the game. That does it. The Cubs win it. 39 years of drought over. Sutcliffe facing only 28 men to do the job. His 14th win in a row to go 16-1 on the season. The Cubs, the champion. Most diehard of Mets fans can now give up the ghost, so to speak, and think about next year. Tonight against the Philadelphia Phillies, Von Hayes of the Phillies parks this one out of the park to tie the score at 5 apiece in the 5th inning of play. Mets trying to come from behind and needed to call on someone very familiar, Mr. Rusty Staub in the 8th inning, so that dead even as the day began.
Second place, and certainly you got to say congratulations, hats off to the Mets and the management. All right, let's go to the videotape. 4-2 Phillies, bottom of the 9th. Mookie comes up with Brooks on second, and Mookie triples off the right field wall. Brooks comes in to score and cuts it to 4-3. Then Ron Hodges comes up, drawn in infield, and Hodges with a base hit by Oliver in the right field, and Mookie scores. It's 4-4. Then 1 out. Rusty comes up, pinch hitting. He says, boom, there it goes, home run.
Game at 4, and then pinch hitter Rusty Staub, who came through last night, did it again. Dramatic 2-run homer, and this broke it up to clinch second place. Rusty's first homer of the season. He becomes only the 2nd player to hit a home run as a teenager at age 18 and also at age 40. The only other man, that's right, Al, Ty Cobb, man, has his finger on
Steve Garvey helping out, coming over from the Dodgers, who had a terrible year without him. They won it easy by 10 games or so, much the best in the National League West. Of course, they are going to play the Cubs, or we think they are, but the Cubs are stumbling a bit trying to wrap this all up. Yesterday against Pittsburgh, in the 8th inning, they had a 1-run lead. Lee Smith walked the bases loaded. A ground ball to shortstop. They couldn't turn the double play. They only got 1 out, but a run would score to make it 6-6. The manager, Jim Fry, said, hey, what's going on? We're supposed to have wrapped this up, but they haven't. A sacrifice fly, a run scored. That made it 7-6. And Chuck Tanninger, the manager of the Pirates, had Kent Colby on the mound. He was ineffective, so he brought on John Candelaria, normally a starter. He gets the final out, and the Cubs went down again. They lost half the game to the Mets, who were idle last night.
The City Royals. And Ozzie Virgil may have been fighter. So he lost him. This ball's well hit, way back. This is out of here. Forget this one. Mookie Wilson cannot hit a ball any harder than he just hit that home run. His 10th of the year. RBIs number 53 and 54 for Mookie Wilson. He got all of that one. Mookie has really had a strong finish this year. He has now driven in 13 runs in the last 21 ball games. He has scored. Just came out. Prior to this year, Mookie Wilson, he is shot right by that. So I guess he's getting stronger as he's aging.
Mookie, in fact, with only 15 total career home runs coming into this year.
Covering a 4-year period.
Right. He had none in 1980. He had 1, or rather 3 in
Steve Firovid, the right-hander, warming up as John Stearns is the batter. He's 0 for 2. Another slider missing. 2. And he takes a fastball high. Good day. Christensen 2 for 3 on the day with an RBI, 2 RBIs and a run scored. Single, double, fielder's choice. Line drive to center, but Von Hayes is there. Side to left, struck out and grounded to second. There goes the runner, and John Stearns has the stolen base. John Stearns holds the National League record for stolen bases by have to tear that uniform off of him, torn off of it. You hear that all the time.
ball just
line drive, base hit, right field. Stearns will score easily, and it's now 7-1.
And he did the proper thing with it. He deposited it in right field. And his first RBI, his second major league hit.
Billy Beane 1 for 3 today, single up the middle. Slider is outside, 2-0. Swing and a miss. 3-2 to Billy Kevin Mitchell. Oh boy. Well, you're going to see these types of things. You cannot allow the pitcher to pitch.
But it was a tailor-made double play ball had Santana not dropped it.
Right. Yes, sir. There's a base hit for Wackenfuss in the right. Wackenfuss now 1 for. Swing and a miss. He got him. First strikeout for Doug Sisk, and there's 2. And the new pitcher, right-hander Steve Firovid, F-I-R-E-O-V-I-D.
Got a tougher name. And Billy swings and misses for strike 1. 1-1. Their major league debuts as far as starters are concerned today. Ralphie gets a nice hand, a double and a home run, 2 RBIs, a run scored, and 2 for 3 on the day, and he takes strike 1. The home run, Santana's first major league. Getty would like to congratulate the Mets Getty star of the game. It is Rafael Santana for performing miles ahead of him. I doubt if Rusty's going to pinch hit with the Mets leading 7-1. And a strike called makes it 0-2. Just outside 1-2. The second of all time, the first since Ty Cobb did it, to hit a home run as a teenager and another home run after turning 40 with a dramatic turn. Ninth inning baseball, the final game of the year here at Shea, as the Mets lead 7-1. And Tim Corcoran will lead it off. Walk issued by Sisk, and for the Mets. And the Mets turn their third double play of the afternoon. Doug Sisk, as he often does, gets the ground ball.
Surprises this year with the Mets.
Rick Shue batting for the first time. Takes a strike from Doug Sisk with 2 out and nobody on here in the ninth, and the 5,800 on hand come to life. And a ground ball to short. Santana waits and throws, and the Mets win 6 in a row. Doug Sisk pitches 2 innings of scoreless relief to close the door on Philadelphia as the Mets sweep the series and close out their 1984 home season by winning all 6 games of this final homestand of the year. Sid Fernandez evens his record at 6-6 with the victory going 5 innings, with Gardner and Sisk finishing up in relief. Jerry Koosman, the starter for the Phillies, is the loser. He is 14-15 on the year. And, of course, home runs in the ball game by Mookie Wilson and Rafael Santana, who is the Getty Player of the Game. A big victory and a big homestand for the Mets as they win it 7-1. Tim and I will be back to wrap it up in just a minute, and Ralph will follow with the final 84 edition of Time here in the 1984 season, as the Mets have really given their fans something to end the season with. A 6-game winning streak here at home, sweeping both final home series. And I think, first of all, Timmy, we ought to say something about the Mets fans, because the Mets have given them a fine year, but the fans have responded. 1.8 million plus, and up 725,000 over last year.
And plus some of the older ones, too. Mookie Wilson with his 10th home run of the year. Rafael Santana with the double and a home run, 2 RBIs. His first major league home. An honest cigar. Friday, fans, at 7:30 from the Big O in Montreal. Reminding you to be sure to stay with us for Kiner's Corner, the last edition.
From Garcia Vega.
Bet it's a Dutch Masters or out for the
Garcia Vega, still an honest figure.
The last game here in Chess Stadium, because this is kind of fun, you know, play the last game in town like New York. And I went up with the Cardinals last year, and
all those doing is trying to hit it hard, someone put it in play.
And you get the game-winning RBI. Excuse me. And right here, Chapman trying to score, and he can't do it as he can't get to the plate. Now, here is a 2-base hit by Raphael down the left field line. Good hitting there off Jerry Koosman. Should be Christensen right here.
Yeah, so that's another cut fastball down and in.
Now Raphael comes up.
That was a fastball and 3-1 count, and I was looking for something in, and he gave me some good pitch to hit, and I pulled it off the line for a good double.
And now tell us about the home run, your first in the major leagues.
Well, yeah, that was this was my first major league home run, and the pitch I hit with a fastball, because I had a count, and he gave me a fastball right down the middle, and I don't even try to hit a home run, but luckily I hit the ball good over the fence.
You sure hit it well, there's no doubt about that. What were you thinking about when you were running the bases?
Well, I know I hit the ball good, might be, you know, against the fence. So what I do is run hard until I see what happened, and then I was running hard until I got to second base. That was when I saw the pitchers down the bullpen, you know.
Make the catch, yeah. How about that, John? He had a pretty good home run trot on it once he saw it one out of the ballpark.
He had a real good home run trot. It looked like he hit his 40th home run of the year.
We'll be back in just a moment, right after the first inning. After 2 walks, here's John hitting the ball for a base hit to right field. Johnny and Stone singles into center field for the Philadelphia Phillies, and a run scores their only run of the ball game. In the bottom of the 5th, with 1 out, Chapman's on third base. John Christensen grounds to Jeltz, the shortstop. And on this play, Chapman scores. And now Santana makes it a 4-1.